Now at 9, a new school district could be formed by breaking up Utah's largest district.
6 city councils are voting whether or not to move forward with the process to split from the Alpine School District. We'll explain how they feel so far.
Tracking the potential for smoke to move into parts of the Beehive State for your Wednesday that could stick around through Thursday, but there is rain in the forecast. I'll have the details coming up.
Just over a day away from carrying out the execution of a man on death row. Tonight, why Governor Cox declined a reprieve.
How one annual event is helping refugees here in Utah prepare for the upcoming school year.
These buried pipelines we don't see, but they need our attention.
And a major project is underway that impacts drinking water for tens of thousands living in the Salt Lake Valley.
Live from Utah's news leader, Fox 13 News at 9 starts right now.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Kelly Chapman. Bob has the night off. We begin with a new wildfire that sparked in northern Utah. It's called the Dry Fork Fire. It's located in Rich County in the area of Big Creek Road and Big Creek Canyon. State fire officials say since it started around 5:30 this evening, it's burned at least 1,140 acres. Wind conditions made early containment efforts challenging. As of right now, no structures are immediately threatened. The cause of this fire is under investigation. Let's go over to Utah's Weather Authority. Chris Nunley now with the very latest on conditions as crews battle that fire tonight. Chris?
Yeah, so the wind has really started to die down over the past few hours, so that is the good news. And the temperatures are finally starting to cool off as well. So that's going to help the men and women fighting the fire get a little bit of a better grip on it. We're seeing the lighter winds, the cooler temperatures, and that relative humidity is going to increase overnight into Wednesday morning. It was hot out there this afternoon, though those temperatures were in the triple digits for most areas. 104 in Salt Lake. This is the high temperature today, which is actually a new daily record high for August 6th. So this is the hottest August 6th that we've ever seen. The previous record was 102, set back in 2019. 102 in Provo, 103 in Ogden, 102 in Wendover, 109 in St. George, 1 degree off from that record high in St. George. The temperatures here in Utah are really some of the hottest across the entire lower 48. 111 in Phoenix, 95 in Denver, 101 in Dallas, 102 this afternoon in Tulsa. We're still holding on to the warm temperatures right now. 95 degrees in Salt Lake. The winds are calm, though. The winds do pick up overnight into your Wednesday. That's going to bring some wildfire smoke into the area. I'll track that for you and have a look at that 7-day forecast coming up.
6 cities are working to possibly form a new school district splitting from the Alpine School District. This is what the current Alpine School District looks like as of now. And take a look now at the chunk that could be taken out. Tonight, they're moving a step closer to actually making a decision. Fox 13 News reporter Maithili Gooby has been tracking this process for months now. She joins us live in Highland with the very latest. Maithili.
City councils of Lehigh, Alpine, American Fork, Cedar Hills, Highland, and the Utah County portion of Draper have all voted unanimously to ask voters in November if they want to split from the Alpine School District to create a new district tentatively called the Central School District.
I think it's the best route because it puts it right into the hands of the voters.
This is how the Alpine School District looks like now, and this is what it could look like with the new Central School District. After a 45-day public comment period, city councils voted Tuesday night to let voters decide if they should create a new school district.
It's been amazing to see how involved the public has been in this process and talking with city council members and uniting the cities talking together. I think it's been a pretty incredible process.
In April, the 6 cities, Lehigh, American Fork, Cedar Hills, Highland, Alpine, and the Utah County portion of Draper entered into an interlocal agreement to possibly split. Some are worried that the Alpine School District is too big, so a split could help.
People just want to be empowered to help make the decision. I think representation is a huge deal. I think the fact that needs vary across the district is a big deal for people.
But there are also concerns about tax implications and how special programs could be done in a new district.
Over the past couple of years, I've just heard more and more people say that they would like to have a voice in what happens in the future.
The Alpine School District shared a statement with us saying, in part, while municipal leaders and residents in those areas consider these important issues, we maintain our focus on providing excellence in education to the students in our 92 schools, hoping over the next 3 months voters can make an informed decision about what's best for their families.
But I think the number one thing is that we feel that this is something that our residents need to decide. And no matter where we kind of feel on it, that's something that everybody's been pretty passionate about, that this is something that when the voters decide, no matter what the outcome is, there's going to be hard things to work through. And if they've decided to do that, then we feel that they'll be more willing to work through those issues in the future.
Now, there's another interlocal agreement between Saratoga Springs, Eagle Mountain, Cedar Fort, and Fairfield on the west side. Now, not all of those cities are voting tonight, so we'll keep you updated with the split process as we get more information. Live in Highland, I am Maithili Gobi, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Governor Spencer Cox has denied a reprieve for death row inmate Tabaron Honey. Honey's lawyers asked for a delay, complaining about the process Utah's Department of Corrections has for carrying out the execution. The governor says Utah's constitution does not give him the power to halt an execution. He says Honey has had every chance to challenge his death sentence that was imposed more than 25 years ago. Honey will die by lethal injection early Thursday morning for the 1998 murder of Claudia Ben. He was accused of breaking into her home, slitting her throat, and sexually assaulting her with a knife. Her grandchildren were in the home at the time of the murder. Today, Fox 13 News spoke with Rabbi Sam Spector of Congregation Kol Ami and Father John Evans, the Vicar General for the Catholic Diocese of Salt Lake City, about how their religions view capital punishment.
We see that there are examples of capital punishment in the Torah and reasons for capital punishment in the Torah. Most modern Jewish scholars take a very different approach, and actually we even read in the Talmud that it was virtually impossible to actually execute someone.
We don't seek the death penalty, and we know there are other adequate means to safeguard society, incarceration, for example. But that is still not enough if we don't carry out the medicinal, spiritual work of trying to bring about the redemption.
The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints did not want to do an on-camera interview, but on the topic of capital punishment, the church neither promotes nor opposes capital punishment and sees it as, quote, a matter to be solely decided by the prescribed processes of civil law. Now, in some cases, the death penalty is issued as a bargaining tool to secure plea deals and convictions in criminal cases. A common tactic includes having a defendant agree to a plea deal in exchange for a reduced sentence or a downgraded charge. However, specifically using the threat of the death penalty in these negotiations is actually illegal under Utah law, as a defense attorney with the Salt Lake Legal Defender Association explains.
The Utah Supreme Court has declared that such attempts by the state to obtain a confession by threatening the death penalty are illegal because they're coercive.
The U.S. Department of Justice also prohibits prosecutors from threatening the death penalty in negotiations. Honey is scheduled to die by lethal injection at midnight on Thursday, a little less than 27 hours from now. We will have team coverage tomorrow on Fox 13 News. Well, new tonight, the Utah Board of Pardons and Parole has been dismissed as one of the parties in a civil lawsuit against the state filed by the family of one of the boys killed in a crash in Eagle Mountain 2 years ago. The lawsuit, filed by the parents of Odin Ratliff, alleged the state acknowledged and allowed Kent Cody Barlow to remain on parole despite being in violation of it. The Board of Pardons and Parole said in a statement it remains committed to ensuring everything they do reflects their dedication to both the community and to parolees seeking to return to society responsibly. Wasatch Behavioral Health and other state agencies like the Utah Department of Corrections are still a part of this lawsuit.
We got 91 days My God, that's easy. We'll sleep when we're dead.
In the race for the White House, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz makes a splash on stage with Vice President Kamala Harris. We'll break down the Democratic nominee's campaign blitz across the country this week. Plus, stock markets bounce back after the worst day on Wall Street since September 2022. Why the Fed says they still don't want to cut interest rates just yet.
It appears like Larry Markin and his future remains here in Utah. I'll tell you about the new massive contract he's set to sign coming up.
Hopefully it sends a sense of welcome, and we want you here.
One local nonprofit is helping fill gaps in services in the refugee community. I'm Fox 13 News reporter Chris Arnold. Utah Refugee Connection says there are 65,000 refugees here in Utah, with nearly 3/4 of them in the Granite School District. It's why they've partnered with the district to put on a back-to-school night for Utah's refugees.
It was my first time when I left Ukraine. It was heartbreaking. If honesty, it was hard for my children especially.
Tatiana Kamanova was born and raised in the western part of Ukraine. She left home with her children in March of 2022, shortly after the war with Russia started.
We really think we will back to Ukraine, but war doesn't stop, and we decided we need to do something because we need to think about our children, and we decided to move to America.
Kamanova has been in the U.S. for 2 years, and on Tuesday came out to the back-to-school night at Granite Park Junior High School.
It's really awesome because I really feel this support and love from people who organize this.
Organizers say they had about 900 people last year and estimated they would have about 2,000 come through on Tuesday to pick up school supplies.
This makes me feel like going to school again.
Karat Yassin's parents are refugees from Africa. She's getting ready to go into the 6th grade and was pretty excited to get a new backpack.
I feel like it's important because some people out there can't afford backpacks, and you get free backpacks here.
Tuesday's event was put on by the Granite School District in collaboration with the Utah Refugee Connection.
And this is, I think, our 9th year doing this annual back to school event. All of these backpacks, like I said, are given by someone in the community that wants refugees to feel like they're safe, they're seen, and they're supported.
We're so grateful to have them here. And so this is the least we can do to help them get started in school.
Whether it was getting back to school supplies, some new shoes, or even to just come out and enjoy the event, those who turned out say they are grateful.
And we feel belong here and loved and helped. Thank you.
Well, Harmer told me her hope for the event is that every kid and every family that came through knows that the people of Utah love and care about them and ultimately want them to be the best version of themselves. Here in South Salt Lake, Chris Arnold, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Fantastic event, and so's this. Don't forget, Fox 13 News is looking to help children get ready for back-to-school season with a back-to-school blitz. It's happening this month. It's a school supply drive to benefit students in the Murray, Granite, Canyons, Jordan, and Salt Lake City school districts. You can donate online at fox13now.com/school supplies. You can also text school supplies, all one word, to 50155. And if you would like to drop off any school supplies in person, you can do that too. Fox 13 News will be on hand at the Smith's Marketplace at 90th South and Redwood Road in West Jordan on Thursday, August 15th from 6 a.m. all the way to 6 p.m. Well, listen up. If you live in Utah County, you may be required to get flood insurance under newly updated floodplain maps. City leaders, emergency managers, and officials from FEMA hosted an open house in Provo tonight. If your property is now in a special flood hazard area, you will be required to have flood insurance. Homes in that specific floodplain have at least a 26% chance of being flooded at least once in a 30-year span. The last time the maps were updated were back in the 80s.
This is about a 40-year-old study that we're updating with brand new technology, brand new data and information, and working with the communities to help us get better flood risk information to these communities that are impacted.
Something to note, these maps are preliminary. They were just released June 20th and likely won't go into effect until 18 months from now. And that date could change based on any appeals or comments they receive from public input. If you'd like to learn more or see if your home is now at risk of flooding, visit the project website, floodhazards.utah.gov. It's been quite a while since we've seen any sort of significant precipitation here in Utah, anywhere in the entire state, Chris.
We need the rain. That's why we're seeing all the fire conditions. We're just so dry. This is normally the driest time of the year, but it's been abnormally dry this summer and abnormally hot. In fact, today, one of the hottest days of the year, and Utah, one of the hottest places in the entire country. 111 in Phoenix, 104 here in Salt Lake, 101 in Dallas, 102 in Tulsa. So you can see our temperatures here in the desert Southwest hotter than anywhere else across the entire country. And the reason why, this high pressure that's centered right over the desert Southwest, that is leading to those hot temperatures. And it was even hotter to our south, 109 in St. George today, near a record, just 1 degree off of an all-time record for August 6th. Here in Salt Lake, this is a new record. The previous, back in 2019, of 102 degrees, and today was the 5th triple-digit day of August. We're only 6 days into the month, and we normally only see one. The record back in 2020 of 8. It's possible this year that we possibly tie that or maybe even eclipse that, as we still have 3 weeks left. Tomorrow we're not going to hit triple digits though, so that's the good news. Above average, yeah. The normal high 94. We're going to get up to 98, but that's way better than 104. 103 in St. George, 99 in Delta, 99 in Milford for your Wednesday afternoon. We're still sitting at 95 degrees at this hour in Salt Lake. Hard to believe it's almost 9:30 and it's still in the mid 90s. 94 in Ogden, 87 in Provo, 102 right now in St. George. Overnight lows do cool into the low 70s for the Wasatch Front, maybe a touch cooler in Provo, 67 to start your Wednesday morning, 80 in St. George, 54 in Evanston and Park City. The clean air, it's going away. Northwesterly flow, there's going to be a lot of smoke from the Pacific and inland Northwest that works its way down into northern Utah by tomorrow morning into the afternoon hours, from Provo up to Salt Lake, Ogden, into Box Elder County, even southern parts of Idaho. Going to see that reduced air quality tomorrow afternoon, falling into that moderate or that unhealthy for sensitive groups category. So if you're hypersensitive to the wildfire smoke, keep in mind tomorrow afternoon, the air quality going down, and that's going to stick around into your Thursday as well. You're going to notice that milky or hazy look to the sky, and that's going to be the case until we get toward the end of the week. Once we move toward Friday, that high pressure starts to reposition itself to our south and east. So that means it opens the door for that southerly flow. We're going to see an increase in moisture. That's going to increase the rain chances. It's always going to create some slightly cooler temperatures, and that's going to kind of lock in place over the weekend into next week. So we're going to start to get into a more active weather pattern that features the cooler temperatures and that potential for precipitation. Notice over the next 7 days, all of Utah has the potential to see at least isolated storms that could lead to some heavy rain, especially from the central parts of the state, the central mountains into the Uintas and the Wasatch back. Favored opportunity to see maybe between 1/4 and 1/2 inch of rain over the next 7 days, and that is reflected in those cooler temperatures for highs as well. We're going to see highs fall into the low 90s, maybe upper 80s by the end of the weekend into next week for the Wasatch Front. In southern Utah also sees high temperatures go from the 105 range down to about 100 over the weekend.
Vice President Kamala Harris has selected Minnesota Governor Tim Walz as her running mate. The two appeared at a rally together this evening in Philadelphia. In a social media post, Harris said that Walz has delivered for working families as a governor, coach, and teacher. Walz is 60 years old, a former congressman and National Guard veteran. He could help shore up support for Harris from some Midwest swing states. Harris and Walz will spend the next 5 days touring critical battleground states such as Wisconsin and Michigan before heading to Phoenix and Las Vegas later in the week. Tropical storm Debbie is inching along the southeastern part of the U.S., bringing torrential rains and flooding with it. At least 5 people have died due to the storm, either in traffic accidents or from fallen trees. President Joe Biden has approved emergency declarations to offer federal disaster assistance for Georgia, Florida, and South Carolina. The U.S. and global stock markets are bouncing back today after plummeting on Monday. The Dow Jones, S&P 500, and the Nasdaq all seeing positive gains after the Dow dropped by more than 1,000 points yesterday. The volatility of the stock market since Friday has investors and economists calling on the Federal Reserve to take emergency action and cut rates before its next scheduled meeting happening in September. However, the Fed says its decision must be based on data and not on market sentiment. Otherwise, it could end up making the economy worse, not better.
Another day in the triple digits, but there is a break from the heat. I'll let you know when to expect that break and how cool those temperatures are going to get coming up.
And this month's Max Trax begins with a dress code and it ends with the bruised tailbone that I am still getting over. I'm going to take you to Rock Springs, Wyoming and show you some of our neighbors' amazing red desert country.
The pads are on for week 2 of college football's fall camp. We'll hear from the Cougars and Utes coming up.
Welcome back, everyone. Only 6 days into August. And man, Chris, we are racking up the 100-degree plus days already.
We are. Yeah, today one of the hottest days of the year. Our temperatures, the average is continuing to go down to 94, but we saw a high today of 104. This is a new daily record high, so the hottest October. I wish it was October. The hottest August 6th that we've ever seen. The previous, again, 102 set back in 2019. And today is the 5th day in August that we've seen temperatures in the triple digits. Normally we see 1 in the month of August, but we have seen 5 so far. The highest number in August of 2020 of 8. Now we have 3 weeks left, so it's possible that we see an additional day, 2, maybe 3 or 4 of triple digits. Now the positive news is on the 7-day forecast, I don't have any triple digits for Salt Lake. I am forecasting slightly cooler temperatures. It's still going to be hot, but it's going to be cooler than what we saw today. And there is a chance for some rain on that 7-day forecast. Coming up, I'm going to talk about those rain chances, the cooler temperatures, and some wildfire smoke that will reduce that air quality tomorrow afternoon. All those details are coming up here in just a couple of minutes.
Hi, Max Roth here. My Max Track stories are about the entire area where we send our broadcast signal. So this month, a random game of chance sent me to Rock Springs, Wyoming. And I knew right away I wanted to see Wyoming's red desert. I had no idea I'd also get to see the biggest sporting event of its kind in the world.
The press release actually tells me I shouldn't wear shoes like this or a shirt like this, and I should have something on my head. I'll show you. This is the dress code.
And next we set up to welcome in all the flags from countries that we represent at this year's 6th National High School Finals Rodeo.
We have about 15,000 kids nationwide.
Where do you live in Hawaii?
Maui.
So you're a bull rider yourself.
I was.
You still feel the aches and pains?
I do.
How did you get into riding?
I started when I was 3 with the tiny Kapakulu rodeos.
We've got the bull tube up here. Most people don't realize that unicorns, hey, they're livestock too.
So I do barrels, poles, goats, and breaking.
Carol Bucket Shoot.
What's the goats?
So you run down on your horse and you get off your horse while it's running, and then you run to the goat and then tie 3 legs.
A lot faster here.
Is it like playing tag with the goat?
When she was little, she never owned any dogs. It was always horses.
Received the Gene Maddox Memorial $2,500 scholarship is Triana Garcia.
Proud mom. So that is so cool.
Thank you.
There are hundreds of petroglyphs here around the face of the entire rock. We're going to go take a look at all of them. It's estimated about 700 to 200 years old. The 4 main tribes that we consult with are the Northern Arapaho, the Eastern Shoshone, the Shoshone-Bannock, and the Northern Ute.
I was looking too closely at this one.
Yeah, this one's huge.
Look at that. Is that unusual, the size of that?
This is one of the larger ones that I've seen, and it's definitely the largest one at this site as well.
Mm-hmm.
We've got another humanoid figure on a horse here. And with that shape coming off of the back of the head, it looks like they're wearing a headdress. You see all that black on the roof?
Yes.
So that is residue from a fire. So there would have been hundreds of fires probably in this little cave. I'm going off of a motif of motherhood. We see an animal figure in here, maybe an elk or a mule deer, and then carved inside is a little smaller animal. So this rock in front of us is referred to as the birthing rock. It's possible that indigenous women actually would have stood here and given birth standing up and gripped into the rock, wearing away these grooves over time. This panel behind.
Oh, I see. Look at that.
You'll see a lot of pregnant animals.
Yeah.
And also a lot of bear paws, so that shape with the square or the triangle with all those talons coming off of it is a repeated symbol, again, for power and motherhood.
What are we looking at? Where are we?
So we're in the Kilpecker Sand Dunes open play area. It's open for motorized use, about 10,000 acres. Adjacent to the Sand Dunes Wilderness Study Area.
Okay. Let's see.
There you go.
Whoa! Low center of gravity.
Yep. Little bend in the knees.
Bend in the knees. And... Whoa!
Made it like a foot farther.
Here we go. How does a Massachusetts kid come out here and really love this Rock Springs area, this region?
The Red Desert is a really special place, both spiritually, geology, with the wildlife out there. It's an amazing place to get to be a part of. There's still some good views from the freeway, but once you get off and start exploring, you get to see stuff like this, and it's really an amazing place.
Rock Springs was so welcoming. The tourism folks let me borrow that sandboard, and I do not blame them for my sore tailbone. Now, some great kids from Davis County bowled with these, and their score determined my next destination for Max Tracks. I'm not going to say where I'm headed, but I'll be camping in woods said to be inhabited by a legendary monster. In studio, Max Roth, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Did you say the legendary monster? Somebody just
I
said?
think so, yeah. I love those packages, though.
You
They're
never know
so
where
good.
Max is going to end up. You never know. And even more so, and better, you never know the people he's going to meet along the way.
So many cool people.
Yeah.
He's all over the place.
Lots of places to explore here.
We love it. Max Tracks.
We still have a lot coming up on Fox 13 News at 9. We are going to talk with the man in charge of helping bring the Olympic Games back to Salt Lake City in 2034 as he reflects on his trip to Paris last month. Plus, she is making America proud at the Olympics. See how Layton residents came together to cheer on Courtney Wayment. We'll be back. Glad you're with us tonight, everyone. The head of the Utah Olympics bid committee, Fraser Bullock, returned home over the weekend back from the Paris Summer Olympics, where Salt Lake City was awarded the 2034 Winter Olympic Games 2 weeks ago. The Games, of course, will be in 2034. Now, in the process, the International Olympic Committee created some controversy when it put in a clause in the contract that Utah could lose the Games if state officials did not work to convince U.S. authorities to drop an investigation into the World Anti-Doping Agency, allowing Chinese swimmers suspected of doping to compete in the Tokyo Games 4 years ago. Yet, despite the provision, Bullock isn't fazed.
I am so confident we're going to put on the Games. I'm not worried about that at all. We just have to make sure the anti-doping system functions as it should so that we have clean fields of play for all the athletes to compete fairly.
Well, of course, Utah has worked with the International Olympic Committee before in hosting the 2002 Games. Bullock says experience tells him inspired with the games in their backyard. In 2034, we may see a really good number of athletes go for the gold who hail from the Beehive State. Davis County residents came together in Layton for a watch party to cheer on local Olympian Courtney Wayment this afternoon. There she is. Wayment took 12th place in the steeplechase final, but her community is proud to support her making it to the Summer Olympics in Paris.
She's just super nice. She worked super hard to get to where she got to. She just killed it in high school. She killed it in college. She's done super well, and she just knows how to race and what she needs to do. So I'm not surprised at all that she's made it this far.
They are proud. Wayment grew up in Layton. She is a BYU graduate.
Some positive news tomorrow. If you're tired of the heat, we're going to be a little bit cooler than what we saw this afternoon. Is it still going to be hot? Yes, but our temperatures will be slightly cooler along the Wasatch Front, only getting into the upper 90s instead of the triple digits, and only 103 in St. George for your Wednesday afternoon. The bad news, the air quality is going downhill. We've had pretty good air quality over the past few days, but we're going to see a northwesterly flow set up, and look at all that smoke that is bottled up across the inland and Pacific Northwest. This is going to work its way down into northern parts of Utah as we work our way into tomorrow afternoon. We'll have all the details on this full forecast and some rain chances coming up here in a couple of minutes.
Larry Markkinen and the Jazz are about to become long-term partners. I'll tell you about his contract extension coming up in sports. And Logan Fano ready for a breakout sophomore season with the Utes after an injury cut his freshman year short. We'll hear from him after the break.
A major construction project is getting underway in the Cottonwood Canyons. The Metropolitan Water District of Salt Lake and Sandy is beginning construction on a nearly 4-mile pipeline. Take a look at the map. The $84 million project will connect Big and Little Cottonwood Canyons through their water supply. It will also be more safe in the event of an earthquake.
This pipeline will be able to pull water from both Big and Little Cottonwood Canyon. So in the event of an emergency, it's a flip of a switch, turn of a valve.
Construction will wrap up in the fall of 2026. From fire concerns to flooding, volunteers and firefighters from all across the country have been in Marysvale these past several weeks working on the Silver King fire and now helping clean up and mitigate further natural disaster. Marysvale Fire Chief John Christensen's been keeping watch of Bullion Creek and other waterways, which he says have turned dark with a lot of debris in the recent rainfall. But he added they've avoided further damage thanks to a lot of their flood mitigation efforts.
They've been absolutely hardening all of those facilities. They're up taking snags out. They're doing a lot of things up on the mountain but this is a multi-year project. We're a very small rural town with not much of a tax base and not much money. The bottom line is we want to make sure town is safe and folks are safe and that their property and they are taken care of, and so it's going to be a challenge.
The Silver King fire started July 5th from lightning. Hundreds of firefighters responded on the ground and from above to help contain it, but it consumed nearly 20,000 acres. Residents say they are grateful some of their beloved historic sites like the cabin at Hennessy Point survived. Local leaders now prepare for visitors starting tonight as they host their annual jamboree they say will go on as scheduled. Some good news there. With the firefighters Utah has seen this season and the extreme and persistent heat, Chris, we need to get the rain going. I know there is a chance coming, so we've all got to keep our fingers crossed for this.
Yeah, positive signs in the extended forecast. It was hot today. It was dry as well, but we do have some minor changes and they begin tomorrow. So today we got up to 104 in Salt Lake. Only 98 tomorrow. Yes, this is above where we should be, but it is cooler than today. St. George 103 for your Wednesday afternoon. The bad news, a little bit of smoke works its way in. The northwesterly flow, that's what's going to drop those temperatures tomorrow, but it's also going to carry the smoke in the Pacific and inland Northwest down into northern Utah by tomorrow morning into the afternoon hours. That's going to reduce the air quality, especially from Provo north into even southern parts of Idaho, southwestern Wyoming. Going to see that air quality fall into that moderate to unhealthy for sensitive groups category. So limit that time outdoors tomorrow afternoon. And then moving into Thursday, it actually moves a little bit farther south, all the way down into central parts of Utah. So the air quality is going to be reduced tomorrow and Thursday before more significant weather changes arrive in Utah. 73 as you're waking up Wednesday morning in Salt Lake, 80 in St. George, 54 in Park City, 54 in Evanston, 58 for my friends in Logan. Today, a new daily record high for August 6th. It's the hottest it's ever been on August 6th in Salt Lake. And it marks the 5th day in August that we've seen triple digits. We normally average 1. We're only 6 days into August, and the record set back in 2022 of August, or 2020, I should say, of 8 days. We have 3 weeks left, so it's possible that we tie that or even eclipse that, working our way throughout the month of August. Now, the positive news is I don't have any triple digits in the forecast for the next 7 days here in Salt Lake. 95 degrees, almost 10 o'clock at night. It's still 102 in St. George, 94 in Ogden, 92 in Windover, 85 in Vernal. So temperatures are still really warm with this high pressure controlling the weather. But look, as we work our way toward Friday, shifts off to the south and east. That's going to prevent like that smoke coming in and those hot temperatures. So we're going to see that southerly flow that increases the rain chances, kind of cleans the air out. It's also going to allow for some slightly cooler temperatures, and that sticks around into the weekend, into next week. So we're going to get into a more favorable weather pattern for the cooler temperatures, the slightly cleaner air, and then rain chances as well. So over the next 7 days, notice most of Utah has the potential to at least see isolated rain showers and isolated storms. The favored areas that see the most widespread heaviest rain will be from the central mountain chain into eastern parts of Utah. Favored areas beyond that look like the Wasatch back into the Uintas, have that potential to see anywhere between a quarter to half an inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch of rain. And then even toward the Colorado border, those areas as well, Blanding up to Moab, have the potential to see some pretty good rain as we move into the extended forecast. The best rain chances that we've seen really in several weeks. So the temperature is also going to come down. It's going to be pretty warm tomorrow in southwestern Utah, around 105, 103 to 105. Temperatures do come down though by the weekend into early next week, possibly upper 90s to around 100, with those overnight lows falling into the 70s. And here for the Wasatch Front, it is hot tomorrow, but it's not 104 hot. We'll be in the upper 90s. Temperatures fall into the mid 90s by Friday, possibly into the upper 80s and lower 90s over the weekend into next week. Increased cloud cover and increased chances for some showers and storms, and overnight lows fall into the 60s.
The future of Lauri Markkanen was the #1 question facing the Jazz this offseason. Would they offer him a contract extension or trade him to bring in more assets to this young rebuilding team? After listening to a number of trade offers, the Jazz and Markkanen expected to agree on a massive long-term contract extension, according to The Athletic. Markkanen is expected to sign the deal on Wednesday or later to ensure he won't be traded this season. Markkanen's due for a big pay raise. He's in the final year of a 4-year, $65.5 million contract, which will pay him $18 million this upcoming season. That's one of the best value contracts in the NBA for a player who's averaged 24.5 points per game in his first 2 seasons with the Jazz, became an NBA All-Star, and won the Most Improved Player award in 2023. The Jazz have $33 million of available salary cap space they can use. $24 million of that cap space to give Markkanen a maximum deal at $42 million this season, with the total new contract worth around $200 million over 5 seasons. It's week 2 of fall camp for the college football teams. The Utes are loaded on defense. Defensive end Logan Fano had 3.5 sacks in 5 games as a freshman last year before he suffered a season-ending injury. He's healthy and ready for year number 2 with the Utes.
I feel like it's been good for me to be in the program for a year, and from my point of view, I feel like it's more of a brotherhood. There's no substitute for experience, and so I think last year, the development I had, even though it was only 5 games, from the Florida game to the Oregon State game, I just got a lot more comfortable in the defense, a lot more comfortable with my skill set. And so I think I took all that I learned in those few games, and I've been able to carry that on to now where I'm more confident in who I am and who I am as a player.
Like Utah, BYU also has the pads on in fall for week 2 of fall camp as the Cougars get ready for a scrimmage later this week. The battle for the starting quarterback job continues with Jake Ratzlev and Gary Bohannon as the top contenders. That competition will heat up as the Cougars have their first scrimmage later this week.
Each quarterback will have time with the one O-line, the one receiver. So that, I think that will be, when we see real football and see tackling, I mean, the quarterbacks won't be live. I think we can kind of gauge from when the team is going first, second, third down. Right now it's all situational. Once we get to running drives and sustaining drives and getting points on in a scrimmage type of situation, it'll be better for us to kind of focus on that and maybe look at the competition when we get to that point.
The football season is upon us. School starts soon. We'll have high school football here before we know it.
It's 2 weeks, right?
Yeah,
high
2
school
weeks
football?
away. So it'll be right here, then the college season, NFL. So football is basically here.
Jeff, it's truly the greatest time of the
Here
year,
it's-
right?
I like it. It's
the
a fun
most wonderful time of the year.
Right?
College teams, pads and helmets and 100+ degree
It
weather.
was nice to see a little rain at the BYU practice yesterday.
Oh,
So.
man, they were probably
Cool enough.
loving that.
Yeah.
All right, they're getting ready.
They are.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yep.
We'll be right back. You know, schools start as early as next Monday
That's crazy.
for some districts, so they'll still be wearing, bathing suits saying it's too hot to come to school.
Yeah, they like that. Yeah, but before you know it, the flip is going to switch and it'll get cold.
That's true.
We're ready for it.
Thanks for watching, everyone. Stick around. Quickcast is next.